So some of you on my channel have seen videos of my innovative Marine Nouveau Fusion 20-gallon aquarium. That's a small aquarium. I'll leave some links down to it below, but great aquarium, great starter tank. Highly recommend it for a few clownfish and a couple other fish. But in that tank, I actually did not even use a skimmer. Well, it leads us to another question. Can you survive having a Red Sea Reef 650 Peninsula without a skimmer? Well, I did that very experience due to laziness. My skimmer actually died for this tank, and so I didn't replace it because I live a very busy, active life, and this is what it looks like 6 months without a skimmer. So I decided I would actually show you what it looks like before I clean it up, so you can see what it's like to have a tank like this with a shark that eats a lot of food over 6 months. Now mind you, this tank does not have a lot of fish in it because it is kind of a low nutrient tank to kind of compensate for the high nutrient shark, but overall, the tank doesn't look that great, so maybe you should have a skimmer. Some of the benefits of having a skimmer are increased oxygenation. It serves as a warning sign for different events in your tank, like die-off or chemicals, and it also helps keep different types of nutrients and stuff from actually decaying in your tank. So any new food and stuff, it'll bubble up, and it helps get rid of things like fish pee. So skimmers are great for keeping your nitrates low, basically exporting junk before it turns into worse junk. And this is what the Red Sea Reefer looks like when you don't have that very helpful tool. So it's doable but not recommended, which is why I got the Red Sea Reefer 650. No, Red Sea Reefer Skimmer 900, which is actually a bigger number than 650. So anyway, I'll show you around the tank and you tell me what it looks like. It's okay. Alright, so here is what the tank looks like without a skimmer for, a while. And the biggest problem that I have here is I have lots of cyanobacteria, and the skimmer would definitely help with that. There's just cyanobacteria all over, and that's really the biggest problem. These guys are actually looking good. All of the softy corals don't look too bad. They're a little crowded in there because I have lots of these pallies. And then the anemones, they also don't seem to mind that much. But overall, it's just not pretty to have this cyanobacteria. Another thing that when you slack on your maintenance on this white bottom, you can kind of see how stuff collects on it. And so that's another thing to be aware of, is if you don't have enough flow and you're down on maintenance, stuff kind of will collect on that white bottom. But it's actually not as bad as I thought. Up here where I have a decent amount of flow, it's actually really clean. And then it's just primarily other places back under these rocks. So maybe if I had some more flow coming down from the bottom, it would actually probably stay pretty clean. So let's look at some of the corals. Not looking too good. Corals like this guy, the alien space invader pectina, is really crushing it. Has really liked this dirtier water, and so has that clam. The clam is absolutely huge, and my hammer coral, or gold something or other coral, it's supposedly a gold hammer coral, but it doesn't look like hammers to me. That guy's kind of snuggled up against that clam, so I definitely need to move him. He got knocked around. And this rock has no cyano and is very beautiful, very clean, and has lots and lots of coralline algae. So that's pretty much what it looks like. I knocked a bunch of my frags off onto the floor. I had to pick those up now. Dropped the cup in the other night, so I gotta get that. That's one problem that I don't like about this tank, is it's so deep. It's really a pain to reach down and grab stuff, but you know, that's what you have to deal with when you don't have a custom tank. I really liked my deep blue frag tank because it's really easy to get in there and frag. This guy's doing good, so you know, a lot of the tough LPS corals, they don't really mind not having a skimmer at all. But I just had a couple acros and I actually did lose those. That guy there just died. That guy died. And that guy's not looking too good. So here's me being a bad reefer. And like I said, I've been really busy doing a lot of crazy projects that aren't related to reefing. And there is an enemy. He's doing pretty good. So the fish don't seem to mind. The big fat fluffy corals seem to not mind. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. He's happy. He likes the dirty water. The coralline algae doesn't seem to mind. It's done pretty well, except where there's a lot of this cyano. But in general, it's just not the prettiest situation to have. And so that's what it looks like for over 6 months without a skimmer. It's definitely not that bad though. Other than cyano, there's 0 other types of algae in the tank. I like to thank my tang for that. And also I have not done a water change in 6 months. So this is pretty much nothing in 6 months. My life is finally a little bit in control, so I'll be cleaning it up for you. But yeah, this is doing nothing for 6 months. So let's check it out and see what's going on down here. I'm really embarrassed to show you what's going on down here, but I did take out my filter socks because before I made this video I decided to think about starting to pick things up. So I did put those in the wash, but I haven't scraped any of this stuff. I have a little frag farm here and some forgotten pallies that I'll discover. They're actually still kind of growing down there, which is pretty good. Here's my really gross auto top off that I stopped using their system because it kind of got clogged and started thinking about dosing caulk, and then I had to have an ATO in there. So, but that also needs to be filled up. I've basically been dumping pitchers of water just because it's, you know, less time than fixing that. And here are my plants, my beautiful mangroves, who are still alive and well. Of course, they don't mind not having a skimmer. And then here's the skimmer that is just doing nothing. So we're gonna swap that out. And that's basically the story. I have this little kessel here that's used to grow some algae, and now it's kind of a mix between turf algae and chaetomorpha. And yeah, so that's the situation. You can definitely have a saltwater tank this big with not too many fish for a long time without a skimmer, but it's gonna hurt you. You're gonna have problems show up like cyano, problems show up like it just doesn't look how you want to do it, and the SPS coral might not do as well. I don't know what necessarily caused the loss of those guys, but this is it. So I know you guys are hoping that this tank would be just, you know, crazy awesome and I'd be keeping up on it, and I think it's a really great tank considering it has a shark, and the shark is doing really well. He's actually asleep in the back, and so I'll show you him. And the shark has actually grown a lot slower. There he is. A lot slower than I thought. So he's about 8.5 inches, and it's been about 10 months, I think, since I bought him. And in that time, you know, he hasn't grown that much, maybe a couple inches. And so he's still fine in this tank. I mean, he's got tons of room. I basically designed the rock structure so he'd have maximum room to move in this tank, and he loves it. When he does move, which isn't very often, but during dinner time, he'll just start moving and cruise around this bottom, and he likes that a lot. And then the corals and everything are kind of raised up. So, need some serious help, guys. Suggestions on what corals to put in here to get going again. At least on a good note, the tank is cycled. It's cycled and it's ready to go, so it should be quicker to spruce it up. I also have some corals in abundance, so these corals, you know, maybe I can trade some of them in and get something better. Duncan's loving it. And this pectina, just bomber, great coral. These guys, they're okay. But the pectina grows like crazy. So that's it. I hope I answered your question. Can you have a tank like this with no skimmer and no water changes? The answer is yes, but it's not going to look pretty. And that's about it. So please leave a comment, like, subscribe. Tell me how disappointed you are in me and how this tank looks. But you know what? That's what reefing is. It comes and goes. What's important is that you stay in the hobby, that you keep your fish healthy and happy, and that you help others learn from your mistakes along the way. I highly recommend putting skimmers in these tanks, which is why I'm going to be doing a review of the Red Sea Reefer 900 skimmer. Boo, 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 boo. And at the end of that video, I will also be doing a giveaway of a t-shirt. So once again, these entries for this one these t-shirt entries, I don't have a t-shirt. Do I have a t-shirt? No. But the entries for this will be basically combined with the entries from the last video. So I said in about 2 weeks I'd have a video where I do the drawing. So if you leave a comment below on this video and preferably your Instagram hashtag, makes it easier for me to DM you if you win. Also, I follow all reefers on Instagram. I don't unfollow people because I always want to see what's going on in the aquarium community. So this is a quick video to answer your question. Can you run a Red Sea Reefer 650 without water changes or a skimmer for 6 months? Yes, you can. Is it advised? No, it's not. Less fish the better, less sharks the better, but you know, the shark hasn't put in too much of a bio load, but he does eat probably as much as all the other fish combined. So keep that in mind. Sharks are a massive bio load. Anyway, thank you very much for joining, and I'll catch you next time on Puff Daddy Reef.